the RMB situation, you mentioned a so-called currency problem. I mean, do you see the day in the next 5 years where it's fully convertible and flexible?
Well, you're talking to a person who's quite old. If I'm around in 5 years, I'd like to think that that is the case. I think we've all got to move towards that opportunity, and I think the challenge also is whether we should move towards an international currency, because the speculation and the complexity of currency has caused some of the irritation, not only among the trading nations, but among individuals. But it's not for me to say how it will happen, but I think everyone who knows how to deal with these situations is very cognizant of the problem it takes to get over it, and I think the RMB will become more convertible. But when it'll come, that is a matter for, obviously, the powers that be.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad Nabil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Thank you, Brother Siraj, the chairman, my respected Sheikh, and brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. I won't take much time because I also want to listen to the Sheikh. It is but I will give a brief run with this economic view of the whole thing, and our Sheikh will talk from Islamic perspective. Okay. All right. See, the title given to us today is, will the world economy take its greatest plunge in this year, right? My answer is Wallahu alam. Allah knows best what will happen next year. But there's always a cause-effect relationship between things, right? So the sabab wa musabab, so I'll take you through from an economic perspective what I perceive will be in next year, right? All right. Huh? So you see this debt problem in the US, throughout the world. The largest, these are all in euros. Huh? See, the US debt is 10 billion euros. Huh? And you see Japan is 9 billion euros. Germany, which is in euro, 2 billion euros. And you see the debt until all of them. You look at US, Japan and Germany. These are the most industrialized nations in the world right now. America, Japan and Germany in Europe. Now why the highly industrialized nations are facing such a debt problem? That is the question. You see, if you notice in a world where people are able to produce a lot, like these people, if you produce a lot, you are intelligent, you should be the creditor in the system, not the debtor, right? So why are you the debtor in the nation, the largest? It's because of the way the monetary system is structured. What is the problem with the monetary system is that today we have basically it's not working. Basically, we have that, what do you call that, fiat monetary system, interest-based fiat monetary system. That means you all know it's paper currency, which is simply created out of nothing, right? All those things, huh? So you see, the one I showed you is actually it is the government debt. But what matters in macroeconomics is actually the entire debt, the government debt plus the individual debt plus the business debt. We need to see what is the total debt of the system, right? So when you see the total debt, if you see like for countries, those in red color, you see Japan is red, huh? Britain is red, and France and most of the countries in Europe, you see they are dark orange, isn't it? These countries have, you see, over 400 of the GDP. GDP is what the country can produce totally in the one whole year. What is in total they can produce. So you have these countries 400 times. That means 4 times. The debt is 4 times what the country can produce. Look at Japan. Huh? Japan is the highest in the world, the total debt. So the total debt of Japan is 4 times it can produce as a whole nation. You see that? And you know that it carries compounded interest. Huh? So when debt carries compounded interest, it is an exponential function. So therefore, the number grows exponentially day by day. So what happens when you have a system like this? The real economy, the economy that produces real things, it cannot match the rise of the debt. You follow? So the monetary system will not be able, the real sector will not be able to catch up with the monetary sector. That is the whole what is happening in the global economy right now. All right. Now you see this is the gold price. This is the gold price from the day we started talking about it. Upon Nick Mahani is behind. She was with us from the time we were doing this. So you see, when we started to talk about the gold price at that time, it was only about 160 something per ounce. Now you know it is almost 1,700 plus already, right? So you see the gold price, it has gone to, do you see the exponential growth? Now the important thing is this, a lot of studies have shown that the gold, when you price relative to real things, the things that we produce, it is a constant. It's a constant. So if you see an exponential growth like this, what is it telling you? It is basically telling us that the dollar and the global economy is collapsing exponentially. That is the story gold is telling us, okay? The dollar and the global economy is collapsing exponentially. It is not the price of the gold is telling. It's telling the story of the dollar, okay? All right. So you notice. Look at this. So therefore, when an economy is unable to pay the debt, you see 400%, Japan, right? Is stuck. America stuck. Japan, Europe also stuck, right? We call that in economics liquidity trap. The markets are all in liquidity trap. So when you have a liquidity trap, the way to solve this is through debt relief. You have to write off the debt. You have to lupuskan all the hutang lah. You have to write off the debt, at least the interest portion. The interest portion you got to write off, and you require people to pay only the principal portion. Now that is necessary if you want to jumpstart the economy again. I will come back to that. So when you don't do that, when people when people and businesses default, then there will be a collapse of the monetary system. That's what we call the meltdown. A destruction of money takes place currently. So you see the America, and then you see Europe, and you also see Dubai, right? The Arab Spring also has had relation to that. And I think by next year and so on, we will be facing it. There is a domino effect that is taking place. So the Arab Spring is also because of a collapse of the monetary system. So it all started in 2007 when the subprime crisis started. You all are aware of that, right? So it is actually a destruction of the dollar. So the destruction of dollar spread the problem to the Europe. So you saw many banks in Europe also were collapsing, right? So now the Arab world, the Dubai and so on. That's what is happening. So what we are observing today is basically the collapse of the debt-based monetary system globally. The debt-based monetary system is what is collapsing globally. So if I can, that means, you see the major currencies that I showed you just now, the dollar, the yen and the euro, all of them will face problem now. Because these are the major countries with the major debt, isn't it? So when these countries collapse, so all these currencies will collapse. So this is what we are going to face. So when the major currencies collapse, then the question is, what will be this thing? People will lose confidence in all currencies, because these are the major currencies. People put so much of faith in them, right? So when these currencies face problem and collapse, so people will just will lose faith in all currencies. So now the alternative is, what will be the alternative will come into question. Now you see when things collapse like this, you see in a fiat monetary system, you all know what is the seigniorage, right? The seigniorage is, you see, money that is created out of nothing. When you print or when you create money through electronically, it is very easy, very cheap to create. So the free purchasing power that it carries with it, we call that seigniorage. The seigniorage will transfer wealth and power from individuals, companies, governments to people who create money. So this is a view from This is the view from a political economic perspective. You know that the domains of political economy is the struggle for wealth and power, right? So this monetary system will take away the wealth and power from individuals, businesses and governments, and it will enthrone this on people who create money, those who are given the right to create money. Basically, today's the banking system, where the banking system, they will be the ones who become the creators. So you saw the statistics earlier. You saw America, Japan, and all this. You saw that they are becoming debtors, isn't it? But in accounting, you know that for every debtor there must be a creditor. So who are the creditors in the system? Those are the ones. So to whom you gave the right to create money out of nothing and give to people as a loan on a compounded basis. So they are the creditors in the system. Okay? So the whole world, individuals, businesses and governments will become indebted. You all will become indebted. The creditors will be the banking system. And slowly you will find the control over the resources of the nation and also the power will be enthroned on this group. Very easy. I don't think you need a PhD to understand this, right? Very simple logic, isn't it? Now you notice what happened in the European debt problem. You see, in the European debt problem, after the entire thing collapsing, you notice that they replaced one new Italy and Greece got new prime minister, right? So you notice the new prime minister, it's not elected, but you see he's a member of former Goldman Sachs international advisors. Look at Greece, also appointed. Who is this thing? He was the former governor of the bank. So you will find that this is what will happen. Ultimately, you will see that the people will be placed at the so our politicians all will have to give away slowly, you know. So the other politicians will come, and then they will put an austerity plan on you. You have to, you have to work and work and work. You become slaves, and they'll put high taxations, and you will become austerity plan and so on. Basically, you will do a life of slaves. That's what will happen in this monetary system. Go ahead on the next. So you see, to solve the European problem, you see, German Chancellor Angela is calling for fiscal union. You see, the euro is a monetary union. Then you see, with the monetary union alone, you cannot go on. You see a lot of problems, isn't it? It's also because of the seigniorage. So you need a fiscal union. That means the governments, when they want to do the budgeting, they got to be united. That's what I mean by fiscal union. So when you have a fiscal union like that and a monetary union, basically you become a one country, one nation. You see that? So the local politicians will lose power after that. You'll become, you just follow whatever orders being given to you. You get it, huh? So this is what it is. It's going for fiscal union, and I say this is the path to the one world government. You notice in the Arab world, what is happening? It is one by one, the leaders' collapse is creating a vacuum in leadership. Isn't it? Right? So it creates vacuum in leadership, and here you will see that the formation of a kind of one world government. So you need to see the monetary system with global politics, then you see what is happening. Okay? So if you ask me what needs to be done for this thing, I've got a number of things. I put the most important ones. The first thing is you got to give the system a write-off, at least the interest portion. That's what the Quran says in the Quran says. For that, you need to write off all the riba and the interest portions. You are entitled to your principal, right? But unfortunately, in the today's system, the principal is also created out of nothing, right now. So that's the reason why I put number one, you nationalize the banks. So you nationalize banks like China, India, and many other countries like Brazil and so on. So when you pay back the principal, you pay back to the nationalized bank. So that means the bank that belongs to the government, because the government represents the people. But today's banks are all private. We have given them the right to create money, and then they're just privately creating the money and giving it to you as loan on a compounded basis. You see? The next is, of course, we have to eliminate riba after that. It is the entire cost of the whole thing is actually riba. You can trace riba to almost everything, the crime levels, the climate change, the fall in the moral of the people. You can trace it back to riba. You see, So you need to eliminate riba and institute real money system. So real money systems are systems that take real things as money. So that's why we are saying go back to gold, silver, and anything that's real. The hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you remember, gold for gold, silver for silver, wheat for wheat, barley for barley, salt for salt, right? So all these are commodities that can play the role of money as a measure of value. This is what is missing in the global monetary system. Measure of value. We have kilograms to measure our weight, right? We have length meters to measure our length, isn't it? Or distance. But in international trade, we exchange values. In trade, business, we exchange values, right? But we do not have a measure of value in present system since 1971, when the Bretton Woods collapsed. So this is the missing thing, the measure of value. So you can only measure value with real things, things that have the characteristics of money. So that is the reason why we have to go back to gold, silver, and real things, and as a measure of value. And because the present system has created so much of imbalance, because if you give me the right, let's say this is economy, if you give me the right to create money, I can just create money and give you guys a loan at a compounded basis. Soon you'll find most of your wealth will accumulate with me. So if you want to solve the problem, I have to take you have to take back some of this wealth and give it back to you. Otherwise, you will not be able to start back the economic this thing again. You notice that? So when the system accumulates so much of wealth with me, I have got to give it back. So that's why redistribution of wealth is necessary. You see, the subprime crisis when it took place, more than 5 million homes were foreclosed. 5 million, you know. So if I'm a bank manager, I just have to go and choose which one I like. Right now. Right now. So the solution they are currently suggesting is Euro bonds. You know what are Euro bonds? It's more debt. The problem is debt, and then you create more debt. How to solve problem with a debt with another debt, is it? You see, you need to understand problem solving in micro and macro. For example, let's say we are all economy. If I print $1 million and give it to one of you, you'll immediately become a millionaire, right? Correct or not? But if I create millions and give to each one of you, then it will be only inflation. You will not become rich. So you can solve one section of the economy, but you cannot solve the entire thing with a similar solution. So same as debt. If you have a debt problem individually, you can solve one person's problem like that, but you cannot solve the system like that. You see that? So you cannot create Euro bonds to solve the problem. It will only worsen the problem. You are creating more money. You are creating more money to solve this thing. And since the real things will be same, right? The same real things, it will create hyperinflation. The system will create hyperinflation. That's why, can you go back? You see, that's why the problem will create a hyperinflation. So next year, you are going to find price of a lot of things going to just skyrocket. You see, not only the Europeans are thinking of Euro bonds, the Americans are now talking about quantitative easing number 3, QE3. You know what is QE3? It is just printing more money. It sounds very sophisticated, isn't it? Quantitative easing sounds like quantum physics, right? But it's basically just like printing. It's printing more money. So all this will create global hyperinflation. So what is worrying is this, your price of your rice, price of your wheat, the staple food will skyrocket next year. The bread and everything, when they take this kind of solution. See? So countries that import food will be devastated. You see that? And it will bring the whole world economy into a serious recession when you go on this path like that. All they want to do is they just want to try to save the euro at all costs because they know it's unsustainable. So they're trying to create more money, and then when you create more money like this, it will just still again accumulate with the same small group of people. It's not going to be distributed widely with the entire system. It's going to accumulate with a small group. So it's going to create a serious unemployment and also a global economic depression, if you see from the way I see the direction it's going. And if you learn anything from our past history, mankind, whenever such things happen, they always try to solve the problem through wars. So when you cannot control people through economic, this thing like this, the seigniorage of the international currencies, which are losing, all of them, euro, the dollar, yen, all are going down. So what do? You go and take the people's real resources, take over the real resources. So that is the reason why you see the game in the Middle East. It is actually a war for oil. It's a control for oil. Because if you control the oil resources, you can control China, you can control everyone, because they all need the oil for the economic engine. You see that? Even Alan Greenspan in his book, the Age of Turbulence, he mentioned the Iraqi war is for oil. It's in the book, right? You can say it is for the mass destruction and all the stuff, but it's for oil. Huh? So if you see the game, there's only one country left for them to take on. The moment if they get Iran, then the China will be subdued. So the whole game, it is not all this Islamic terrorists and so on. It's basically to check the rise of China, basically China and Russia and so on. So that is the reason. If you notice recently, the general in China, right? He gave a warning. If you touch Iran, then it's a war. It's going to be a World War III. Why are they saying that? You see? The Chinese generally say, if you touch Iran, it's going to be World War III. So that's why it's very difficult for them to even take the rise of China, basically China and Russia and so on. So that is the reason. If you notice recently, the general in China, right? He gave a warning. If you touch Iran, then it's a war. It's going to be a World War III. Why are they saying that? You see? The Chinese generally say, if you touch Iran, it's going to be World War III. So that's why it's very difficult for them to even take on Syria, because Syria, like Libya, because the moment they go for Syria, it means Iran might go. You see? So Iran goes means it's going to be so it's very in a situation that you can create a serious world war, the way you see it. So if you see the entire scenario, now because the solution is not taken, because they didn't give the debt relief, and they have opted to create more debt and more fiat money to solve the global crisis, I think we are going to face a serious plunge next year. It is all very close. With only in the political game, it's only Iran that is left. So just to give you an effect of all this on gold, you notice the exponential growth of gold price, isn't it? So to give you an effect on gold, you see the gold is the real money. Mankind learned gold is the real money. That is the reason why, even though the Federal Reserve that prints the dollar, and they don't back the dollar with gold. You cannot go to the Federal Reserve with your dollar and ask for gold. They won't. It's not redeemable. And yet, they are the largest holder of gold in the world, isn't it? Right? In Fort Knox. So why is it? Because they know it is the real money. So we have done, there's a correlation between the dollar and gold is almost for negative 1-for-1. If the dollar were to go up, the gold price will go down. Dollar to collapse, gold price will go up. Almost 1-for-1. So since you saw the gold price is going up, it's because the dollar is collapsing. It's negative. So now that will be linked to the euro and also the yen. All of them are in a similar problem. Liquidity trap. Remember the word liquidity trap. And I say that there's going to be a hyperinflation, isn't it? So and gold is a proven hedge against inflation. Anytime inflation goes up, the price of gold also will go up. So you can protect your savings by diversifying some of your this thing into gold and silver. So again, there'll be effect. It'll be you saw the documentary just now, isn't it? It's expected to go up very high. And then you see the central banks. They also know the problem of the fiat money. So they are also diversifying into gold. So most of the central banks are also buying a lot of gold now, stockpiling gold. Gold is the only commodity held by central banks as a reserve asset. You know that, I always joke, they don't hold coffee or tea as a reserve asset, only gold. And then India, also one of the countries that is fast growing, and you know that India is one of the largest consumer of gold also. Not only the central bank is stockpiling gold, so the Indian people also buying a lot of gold. If you watch a Hindi movie, you can see And then, and also if we accept the age of turbulence, if we think that the next year is going to be an age of turbulence, then the gold is also an asset of choice during times of chaotic times. Because you see, with gold, you can take a gold and you can just move away to a place where it's safer or where there's more peace, right? So that's the reason anytime, whenever there's a war, the price of gold will go up. So if you are expecting next year to be a chaotic year, then again gold price will also go up. In fact, Alan Greenspan, the former chairman of the Federal Reserve, when he left the Federal Reserve in 2005 or 2005 or 2006, right? When he left, immediately he wrote a book. You know the title of the book? It's called The Age of Turbulence. See, he knew what was coming. Huh? Next, you see, it is also a proven store of value. Proven store of value. So the moment you convert your this thing, you see the paper money that you have, the savings you have, every day its value goes down. Each time the banking system gives out a loan to someone, the value of your savings will go down because of inflation. But gold can protect it. That's why in Malaysia, if you have a 10 cents coin, it will be written in 1970 or something, right? I always like to say this because I was a small boy during that time. The 10 cents can buy you a roti canai. I used to get to go to school 10 cents. There's the money I get for to go to school. 10 cents. You can buy things. Today, if you bring the 10 cents to a restaurant, what can you get? Even a glass of water they charge 20 cents now, right? You get nothing. But if you take a gold, you see the gold during the time of the Prophet ﷺ can buy you a sheep. It's documented in Sahih Bukhari and so on, isn't it? That is a very well known in Islam. So we can give that example. So today also you can buy you a sheep. Because the dinar is now by 800 something dollars, you can buy a gold, right? Isn't it? So you see, for 1,500 years it can maintain its purchasing power. That's what we mean by it's a proven store of value. Our other currencies, within 30 years, the value is gone. The dollar lost its value in the last 40 years, 90% of its value. The dollar. From 1971 to this one now, 90% of the value is gone. You see? And that's the reason why a lot of people are talking about returning back to the gold standard, gold dinar and so on. Even not only us, even the Western. The Nobel laureate said this century is going to be the gold is going to return. Even the president of World Bank said, let's go back to gold. So when everyone is talking about let's go back to gold, so again the value of gold will go up. So you can see, when I mention gold, it's also related to silver, okay? So these two metals, they always play the role of money together. Yeah? So you will notice that this will be the effect on the metals. So what about individuals? What can we do? The governments, I don't think they'll be able to take the actions that I mentioned to you. They're not going to come, some politician, okay, we are going to write off all your debt, It's not going to happen. Even though in history it happened. Historically it has happened periodically, they will do that. But in the modern world, I don't think it is possible. So what you can do individually is that you'll have to, I think, put part of our savings, other than that you do for transactions, your savings, protect your savings by investing in precious metals. Or you can go to agri land, because this will become very precious very soon. You cannot invest in houses. The price of house all will come down. All financial markets will come down. All right? Except commodity markets will rise, and land also. And protect also with complementary currencies. Complementary currencies are systems, monetary systems that will coexist with the national system, electronically or so, and by other means. And then you can use that to protect yourself. The moment you have a complementary system working parallel, you can protect. And in fact, in my opinion, the complementary currency systems are very important. You can go and Google it. There are many websites that will give you a lot of examples of complementary currencies. But we say the complementary currencies that we do should be based on gold as the measure of value. You remember what is missing in the present system? It is the measure of value. When I was going through this, studying this, I did not understand when we saw Imam Al-Ghazali mention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created gold and silver as a measure of value. You use that to measure. And when I first read this, I was hoping why the Imam didn't say, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it as a medium of exchange. To use it as money, no. Is to play the role of as a measure of value. In fact, you'll come to understand that is what is missing. So that's why the success of when we all talk about the dinar system, the success of the dinar is not minting the dinar. It's not in minting the dinar or this thing. Yes, it is important, but the success in pricing things in gold and silver. You can mint the dinar, but the moment you don't price things gold and silver, it will not work. It will not work. Okay. So therefore, what this thing is that in 1990s we saw a collapse of socialism, 2007, and now you're actually observing the collapse of capitalism. So there's no more ism for them already, right? So there's only one left. So inshallah, this century is, I think, inshallah, it will be a century for Islam to lead. But anytime paradigm shift, the shift will be very volatile. So that's why whatever I say, it may assume, it may look like you are like the prophets of doom. Remember prophets of doom, all the stories of this thing? No. I think that this tenure, this one decade will be very volatile. But what we are going to see is an age of bliss, inshallah. It's coming, okay? So if you have if you do the right thing, we will do something good for our next generation. The next generation, if you let the one world government to take a step, they will become one central bank to create money for the entire world. That is the direction that the other side would like to go. One central bank for the entire world, one world government. If you go to, if that is reached, what you will find is that the children will become basically slaves. But there will be peace. There will be peace because it will be a police state. There will be peace, but basically you will be slaves, but you do not know you are a slave. You will be just having your a simple little bit of income, but everything else will be controlled, and there will be a godless society basically. If you are able to establish the real money and eliminate riba and so on, you will release them into an age of bliss, abundance, and freedom, and age of prosperity. And a world of faith. This is what you see. So the path right now, you are in a very interesting position in history. Which side you are going to move the world? This side or this side? So with that, I stop here because I would like to listen to the Sheikh more. I'm sure you are all here to listen to the Sheikh also, right? So I will stop here. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.